everyone, and welcome to the Chat Trap with me, Pavleen Gujral. My guest for today is a very prolific architect, Mr. Sangeet Sharma, a partner at SD Sharma Associates, an architectural firm in Chandigarh. Now, his concept of sustainable architecture, which is fondly called cubic modernism, resonates with Chandigarh itself. He's a very prolific architect, has been written about quite a bit, and has won numerous awards. But apart from that, he's a very passionate human being. And his passions and talents are noteworthy. And I can't wait to chat with him. So let's go. Welcome, Mr. Sangeet Sharma. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. How are you feeling?
Thank you very much. I'm blessed and honored to be here. Thank you.
Honor is all ours. So I wanted to really ask you that you are such an influential architect. I mean, even from the fraternity right down to the students that you teach. How has been your journey from being a student of architecture to now being such an influential architect all over the country?
A tricky question, Parveen, because an architect is always a student. And I believe that.
True.
So we are in the process of learning every time. And so as I teach, even after 2.5 decades, so while teaching them, I'm actually learning, So the interaction is so fruitful. And the youngsters are more, abrupt with the technology. They are one step above always. So teaching and learning goes hand in hand. So by heart, I'm a student, but I think everybody wants to learn, everybody wants to imbibe. So that experience is a wastage if I can't pass it on to somebody.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing. So there's nothing to teach in this world, but it's all learning and grabbing.
Mr. Sharma, like you've said, that you've been teaching and learning at the same time for so long, for so many years. So what is the one advice you would like to give, that you usually do give to your architecture students, and the one mistake that you say should not be made by them in their career?
Yeah, I'll start with the mistake.
Okay.
Because as I said that we artists, all of us are artists in what other form. We get inspired and then we imitate. So I would advise that please don't imitate. You get inspired and put something of yourself into it and create your own art. So an artist is a person who makes his inner feelings come out. So it's my true self which I bring it out, whether it's in painting, poetry, sculpture, singing, or whatever. So that makes it a true art, piece of art. So that must not be done.
Okay.
What is to be done is...
What should be done?
What should be done is that you have to find a direction and then work hard at it. It's an age-old thing which comes up from our father, our parents, everybody, that you find a direction and work on it so that you excel into it. People, don't find a direction. They go the wrong way. Once you identify, then you attack it with hard work. We lose our sheen somewhere in between, we're doing something and then say, okay, I've achieved so much, but that's not the case. We have to work on it.
Okay, very well said. Because like you said, that every architect also as an artist should find a niche for themselves, a certain direction. And your direction is primarily right now sustainable architecture, which you feel very strongly about. And we can see that in your work. How did that come about, and how has it been working with clients and teaching also about it? How do you imbibe it in your work? Do you get some kind of friction there? Is it difficult to do? Please elaborate.
I'll tell you, sustain is to sustain. It's so simple. People get bogged down by the big words, but it doesn't happen. So if you can sustain yourself, Mother Earth needs to sustain itself. So all the values of life need to sustain. So that is sustainability. Beat it. In architecture, it's primarily that you are trying to make buildings live. You're trying to make buildings not to be a burden on the energy or Mother Earth. I'm making it very simple. Okay. So once that happens, the buildings automatically breathe. They speak. They don't rely on technology. You're not making air-conditioned buildings per se, but you're getting some life into it, because we forget, architects forget that, it's the people who have to use it. Sometimes I get carried away myself. I blame myself. We want to make iconic buildings for myself. It's a Sangeet Sharma building. We used to do it earlier. But as you grow, as you learn, so that doesn't happen. We are making for a human being, and that's what we learned in Chandigarh. My father worked with Le Corbusier, who was a French architect who
lovely.
designed Chandigarh.
Of course.
And
who doesn't know him?
at the age of 89, he's still working.
Wow.
So we are the three generations working in the same family. Yes. We learned human values before learning the architectural values.
Right.
So that's where it counts. That's the difference. So what you call sustainability is a buzzword, okay, but very few people understand that. It's so simple. You make it for the human comfort. You make it for somebody who's using it, he should feel happy. Of course, he should be in awe of it. You know, when you see Taj Mahal or see some beautiful building, you say, wow, you said it. So that's a part of my function. That's a part of function of architecture, to make you enjoy where you live. But you have to live within its premises, breathe well, live well, enjoy well. You know, you walk around barefoot, there's breath and there's fresh air, there's greenery. That's all about sustainability. It's so simple. I mean, why would I need to write books onto it? Why do I need to read books onto it? It's so simple. Anybody can do it. Now, you will do good architecture, right?
That's for sure. I myself try and imbibe sustainability in my own life. So it's really fascinating for me.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I actually wanted to know that how, because you have been propagating this concept for a while now, how has the client adapted to it over the past few years? Do you think there's a change there in the way they approach this? And does it fall into place when you discuss a new project? How does that happen?
In course of time, become psychologists.
Because that's a very interesting theory.
Actually, we have not one client in the family. You know, if a family comprises of 5 members, you have 5 clients. So the child of 7 years to the grandmother, they all are your clients. I'm talking about the house design. In a private sector, when I'm working for IT sector, the whole of 2,000 people are my clients, right? So I care for every individual. So we as architects become educators. So my first prima facie function is to educate my client. When I say educate, I mean he may be a triple MBA or he must be very well educated. That's not the case. I educate him into the process that what I can deliver. Most of the people don't know why they have come to me. हमने तो एक building बनानी है, अच्छी सी building बनानी है. That doesn't happen. उसमें अच्छा क्या होना चाहिए? That's my purview to tell him. So when you educate a person, when I show the concept, I start with sustainability. I start with the feeling of goodness, the feeling of well-being, the feeling of spiritual upliftment into the spaces I will create. And then this is your room, this is your room, this is your room. कमरे तो सभी बनाते हैं, बिल्डिंगें सब बनाते हैं. So what difference do I make because of my sustainability? That I educate him and tell him this is what I can give you. He gets convinced, and therefore I become a better companion to him. So once you're better companions with a client, you do good architecture.
Lovely. That's a great way of looking at it. It's only about educating the client.
Yes, absolutely.
And then everything just falls into place naturally. Okay. Mr. Sangeet Sharma, I wanted to ask you that your career has been spun over decades. What are the challenges that you faced in the course of establishing yourself where you are right now? What are the core challenges? Maybe the challenges that may not seem so big back then, but seem big now. Have the challenges also changed over the course of time?
We are, in my particular case, it's a family of architects. And my wife also is an architect, and we were classmates, and so we got married. The technology in architecture is stepping up every second.
True.
After medical industry. So the challenge is A, to be abreast with technology, B, to have an opportunity which is appropriate to the thing which I can deliver to my deliverance. So that is an opportunity. For example, if I get a project which is something which I know that I may not be able to deliver,
right? I
should have the courage to say कि यार मेरे से नहीं होगा ये, you know. And I have done it many times, probably. I would tell that there's a better architect sitting behind.
Wow.
You can give it to him. I mean, what is
just being honest.
There's no greed into art. I can't be greedy and an artist. So there are two things which are very contrary to each other. An artist means that you are you have a heart of gold, and that's how you create pieces of gold. So that's one of the challenges. And second challenge, which has always been in my life, is that there's always a sense of comparison. And when I was in college, and whenever I should do something good, so they would say, "Apne baap se pooch ke aa gaya hoga." And if I didn't do anything good, they would say, "Arey yaar, itne bade baap ka beta isko kuch aata hi nahi hai." So you're cut every time.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah, the idea is that you compare. Nevertheless, this is happening in every field. There are families in the Bollywood, there are families in arts or architecture. So there's a challenge. So when you have a name written on your forehead, people think you got it on a platter. But you have to work 10 times harder to sustain that name, that image, that carry forward of bank balance which you get is very difficult, probably. And so that was one thing. I overcame that. So for the first 10 to 15 years, people say that you are so-and-so's son. So after 20 years, probably they will say, okay, he's father of so-and-so. So
that's what you're aiming for. And that's happened.
I'm trying. I'm still there, trying.
Okay. So like you said that, you consider architects as artists.
Yeah.
And you are a prolific artist even in the performing arts. This is something that I don't think that a lot of people knew that about you, that you are also a trained singer. You're a painter, you're an author. You won numerous awards in architecture and literature. How did how do you get the time to, does it really help you with your craft as well? That's what I wanted to know, because it's very intriguing to me that your approach of looking at an architect is of an artist. So does it come in conjunction?
Package of questions which you have asked me. So let me compile them one by one.
I'm very intrigued. I'm so impressed by, and I'm going to make you sing. I hope you're prepared.
I am always prepared.
Yes, we are not going to let you leave without hearing a song or two. So,
great.
Please.
In my particular case, I would say I'm blessed. And it's God's benediction that I could encompass all the arts which came to my life. By nature, I was a poet. I started writing when I was in 5th or 6th standard, poetry. And I didn't realize I was a poet, actually. And in a class, in a Hindi class, I was studying, I'm from Bangalore, actually. Belong to Chandigarh, but studied in Bangalore. So they spoke Doha of Kabir. Chalti chakki dekh ko, diya kabira roye. Do patan ke beech mein, sabit bachana koe. So do patans are the sky and the earth. And the teacher said, nahi, wo to chakki chalti hai. I said, nahi, ma'am, aisa nahi hai. It's this. And that's where I probably, something arose in me. And I started writing and became a poet. Art, my father is an architect, and my mother also is a writer. So probably that's in my blood. And how I became a singer, I don't know. And how I'm named Sangeet, I don't know. And I was just asking my mother that, was I singing when I was born? Because people cry when they're born.
Probably.
So they named me Sangeet. People used to ask me, your name is Sangeet. Tu gaate ho? Nahi to naam kaise Sangeet hai? So to live up to my name, I had to learn singing.
So you sing because of your name.
I started like that.
But
then I realized God gave me a reasonably okay voice, and I trained it. My brother-in-law, Atul Sharma, is a famous musician, music director. And my sister is married to him. She's also a singer, interior designer. So we all are a family of, artists and all that. So,
creative people.
So he taught me. I'm still learning. It's been 2 decades. So painting, poetry, art, sculpture, singing, I consider them as one. There's one platform. And so if you are good in one, it's basically a fountainhead of energy. It's a fountainhead of creativity which comes out through any means. So, if I have a pencil in my hand, I begin to draw, I begin to sketch. If I have a book in my hand, I begin to write. And you asked about the time, Pavleen. Life is all about time management. If the more busy you are, the more you can produce. I don't know why people ask me, aapko time kahan se milta hai? Time hai yaar. Aur to kuch hai hi nahi. It's just that how you are trying to compose your life, compose your day. I was traveling today morning and I wrote 20 pages. So it's like that. So you every minute is in your own hands. That's what we are taught. It's your time. So how you build it, how you make it, it's on me. So God willing, I do it.
Mr. Sangeet Sharma, you have designed everything from auditoriums to colleges to factories to residential buildings. What has been your personal passion project?
That pavilion, I think, is institutional buildings, which comprises of teaching units and auditoriums. Auditoriums per se, because it's a very high technology genre of a building. Other things are very simple because this is a state-of-the-art technology which is involved and a beautiful form. So it's two into one. Mm-hmm. So auditoriums is my passion. Institutional buildings because they bring in a lot of movement. Example, I designed one large institute for Coimbatore, in Coimbatore, for PSG people.
Right.
When I'm designing for the students, when I'm designing for the mass youth population, it gives me a new high, so that becomes very important. Institutional buildings and auditoriums, they are my favorite genres to plan.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you next, that you have won the Griha Exemplary Performance Award for your project in Coimbatore that you just talked about.
Yes.
Was there a different perspective to that project? Did you approach it differently? Or, like you said, it was your passion project, but what was so distinctive about it from your own perspective?
You see, first of all, the climate of Coimbatore is non-humid like Chennai, So being in Chandigarh, you're working in South India, so probably you don't want to ask me, ye kaise ho gaya? It was a bit of luck and approach of competition. So we went there, we gave our concept and they liked it. We started it with sustainability. Now, Griha Award is given to a building which comprises of best technology, sunlight, ventilation, all those things are taken care of. So Griha is just a tick mark dictions. If you have done these points, they give you a stamping of Griha. So it's just a mandate. But we did not apply for all this. We did not approach like that. We just wanted to make, as I said, a good, beautiful building. A livable, beautiful building. As simple as that, like my father has taught. Like Corbusier taught him.
Right.
Livable, beautiful building when you make, and then suddenly somebody said that it was half done. You said, why don't you apply for Griha? So when you apply for Griha, they check all this livability, movement, values, greenery. यही तो चीजें हैं सारी और यही जिंदगी की चीजें हैं, यही बिल्डिंग की चीजें. So it was automatically capable of applying to this Griha certification. So we went ahead, we did it. It's a non-air conditioned building, and incidentally we won the 2018 Best Exemplary Award for this building. Right? Griha is okay. It says ठीक है भाई, हमने approve कर दिया आपका. Very nice. But that's not the end of it. My students, this is what I tell them, architects, if you aim for that stamping, you lose on the character and the beauty of the building. Most of the modern buildings you will see, Pavleen, in Europe, they were bombarded down. But not the buildings made by the famous architects of Corbusier, Frank Lloyd Wright, Mies van der Rohe. There are some names which came in at that time. Their buildings were not bombarded. They were also in the modern era. Modern era means they were post-war buildings. That means they were most like a box, more of a geometrical forms, and you do away with ornamentation. मैं सिखा रहा हूँ आपको architecture.
I'm loving it.
I'm teaching you all this.
Yes, absolutely.
Suddenly a master comes into play.
The teacher comes into play. Yes.
So those buildings per se are not beautiful. They are more functional, and they are standardization. एक के ऊपर एक बनाने के लिए वो बनता है. After some time, you're going to realize that they are too mundane. They are too run of the mill. They are too utilitarian. They are not something which is. It lacks the wow factor. So they were removed out. But not the buildings made by the masters. Why? Because there was that element of poetry in it. There was that element of humanness in it. There was an element of human comfort in it, which others did not do. They thought that this is the architecture to be done. Isko uthaya aur usko bana diya. It wasn't it. They forgot the poetry behind it. They forgot the spirit behind it. They forgot the essence behind it, the humanness behind it. So those buildings, they survive all long. Taj Mahal is still Taj Mahal.
Right.
Years old. So when you see something like that, which is timeless, so there is timelessness in my profession. बड़ा मुश्किल है इसको achieve करना.
I'm
but,
sure.
But we all try. But all good architects strive for that. Griha is just an indication, is just a thing which says, okay, you've done it. But otherwise, I think every good building, every sustainable building is towards something which is timelessness.
Lovely. Congratulations on that. It was a stupendous building and I think rightly deserved the award.
Thank you so much. And it also depends on the client. I mean, the client, as I said, has to be equally educated, aware, who wants to be in that spirit, So thankfully, I got the client, and as I said, that you make a beautiful bonding with the client. Only then the building comes up. It's a two-way circle in my profession.
But like you said, that you're also you impart education, and in continuation to that, you have your workshops that you run called In Depth with Sangeet Sharma, and you also have a foundation, A3. So please elaborate a little on these two ventures that you have started.
I used to go to colleges to talk. Somebody said that, why don't you compile your talks like this? And they were all extempore, Pavleen. I mean, abhi bhi aisa hi hai, pehle bhi aisa tha. I somehow never prepared myself. And I feel that unpreparedness brings out the best in you. It's in every field of life. So when that happened, there was I started having a good bonding with the students. So I compiled all those things. But then they said, it's not enough. You've written a book, this and that, okay. But we want to have live sessions with you so that we can one-to-one we can understand. So In Depth with Sangeet Sharma started, and a lot of colleges invite me, and we have talks, all informal talks, because as I said that I learn from my students, I learn from everybody. So they're not only with the students of architecture, they're with artists, they are with other professionals. About 16 years ago, I made a foundation, A3 Foundation. A3 is the size of paper.
Right.
लोग पूछते हैं कि A3 क्यों है?
Achha, okay.
So it's A3 size of paper.
I think I figured that out a little bit.
But it's also art, architecture, aesthetics. So the 3 A's. So that became a monumental thing today, because we give awards which are very coveted awards. People like to you associate with our awards. The only organization which awards teachers in architecture, वो सारी उम्र पढ़ाते हैं, but nobody did there to congratulate them and pat them on the back. So we do it. We award architects who write. We award students who go into journalism. So it's just a passion. I mean, no such thing as, I want to earn out of it. It's just a passion. So the A3 Foundation and other forums which I developed is doing very well, and I'm enjoying that secondary part of my profession beautifully well.
That's lovely to hear. And I think the next question makes more sense here, because I wanted to know that since your career has been over decades, what is the one thing that you have really welcomed, a welcome change in the field of architecture, a not so welcome change in the field of architecture over these past few decades? And what are your predictions for the future of architecture?
From technology to non-technology, what I mean is hardcore dependence on technology. If I don't have my computer or my laptop, I'm finished. But my time, we used to have a pencil in the hand, and I could draw what I want, what I have in my mind. Through the dexterity of my hand, I can bring it down on a piece of paper in third dimension. That means I can draw your house, if I'm making for you, the way it will look. And that's the caliber I sort of have. A little bit, I'm trying to improve. But these masters, they could do this. Ultimately, I have to tell you and show you what I'm doing it for you. And that has to be in third dimension. So that is coming back. This last decade was total dependence on technology. If I tell a person to draw, student draw, he would say, I cannot do it. I want my mouse, because you have software to draw.
Right.
That's the first thing. The second ability, which is bad, is that it's a global village now. I can get anything on the internet. So my personal adoption of a design is lacking somewhere. Suppose I have to make a house for Pavleen. I would just go onto the net, say houses, and I get 40 houses. Okay? So now those 40 houses, I can say pick and choose. But that's not what I'm trained for. I'm a trained architect. That means I have the ability to create something new for you every time. That is lacking. So, dependence and non-dependence, I've said. And thirdly, I think architecture is going way beyond. There's nothing in this world which cannot be built. So there are no inhibitions in my profession now. I can build cantilevers of 100 feet. And if you see the buildings in Dubai, they're all free-flowing like this. They're all round and square and oblong. And, so there's a delightful forms I can create now, which I think my father in his time could not, or his predecessors could not. So now the things are more, available to us. So probably we are in better times.
We're in better times.
We're always in better times.
Always, always. I wanted to know your personal design statement. If you had to make a space for yourself, what are the elements that have to be there? What is Mr. Sangeet Sharma's personal design space like? The idea.
I thought I was a good orator. I'm not. So,
no, not at all. I just have time to think. While you're answering, I have more time to think. That's why.
Yeah. My personal space would be the way I am. I would not like a roof on my head at all. I would rather have a big tree place to sit, breathe, work, and live under that. So that's the best ideal place. I don't think creatures and birds, they live in the same nest every time. They keep on traveling. So by and large, if we are social animals, we have that animal instinct in us. And who taught these birds and animals architecture? You see the nest of a bird.
True.
It's perfect piece of architecture. The size, the shape, the form, the geometry, cobwebs. They're perfect geometry. उन्होंने कहीं से BArch नहीं की थी, ना ही masters की थी. So that means design is a part of my being. I am born like that. So I'd rather be like that. So my space would be an open space, just enough for me. So there's no greed. There is simple need. And I like to breathe absolute fresh air, live in greenery. Okay, if I have to be encompassed with something, it would be with rather trees. Little more, just enough space with mud where I can sleep, where I can get more creative. It's all about inducing my creativity. So if I'm making walls, if I'm making spaces which depress me or doesn't bring out best in me, that's not my kind of space. But I design some spaces for my clients, that's okay, because this is what he wants.
Right.
But you're asking my space.
Yes.
So my space is devoid of all those bricks and walls and roof. पता नहीं ऐसा होगा नहीं होगा होगा.
But your space is space.
Yes.
There should be space.
Absolutely. Space is space.
Okay.
I don't want to confine space. I would rather break them away.
Break the space.
And yeah, break the mind, break the heart.
Lovely. I would love to live in a space. I'm looking forward to such a space whenever you do create it.
I'm sure.
Mr. Sangeet Sharma, since you're from Chandigarh, your firm is in Chandigarh, and even Chandigarh is reflective even in your profession, in your work. What is that distinctive piece of architecture in Chandigarh that is your most favorite? 4
foreigners taught us the sustainability 70 years ago, which today we're talking about.
Right.
And they actually lived the way it should be. They were like monks and lived a very simple life. So your reflection of your architecture is reflected on your being also. The way you live, the way you create. It can't be contrary to your lifestyle than to your creation. Those foreigners were like, God's gift, and they came to India. And those times when India was, a lot of third world country and came out from the partition, this city was made for the people who were displaced. And very creative. Everything is economical. Everything is very sustainable. As I said, to sustain is to survive. So Chandigarh, everything, be it buildings, brickwork, pure concrete, roads, horticulture, it's all beautiful. It's all sensibly planned. Okay, now your question is which building? I would choose the Capitol Complex, the governing place which Le Corbusier designed. It's in Sector 1. Those three buildings are very beautiful. A, because they have a monumental scale. B, they are all of pure concrete, and it was a new material at the time. And they reflect the modernity, entering of India into the new phase. You see, architecture is the medium of every politician to showcase his ability and his power, his form. The kings, when they used to come back victory, तो victory towers बनते थे,
Right.
कुतुब मीनार बनते थे.
Right.
What's all this? It's just to showcase their victory. So architecture is the means which becomes a powerful tool. ठीक है? Chandigarh was a tool of the Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, who wanted to usher India into the next level, into the next generation. So what was the means? Architecture. So he invited the best architect, he gave him the best piece of land, and he did his best architecture. The reflection of the times, whether it's of democracy, anarchy, dictatorship, whatever, it's architecture which reflects. You go to any country, you don't remember the food or the people, the clothes, you reflect the building. If I think of Sydney, it's Opera House, it's Rome, it's Colosseum,
Right.
it's India, it's Taj Mahal. So it's back of your mind, you take back the architecture. Isn't it amazing?
It's really
So how important it is, people don't know, people forget. So you bring back the memories, or you recognize the civilization by its architecture. Come back to Chandigarh. So
always.
So that is a reflection of the times. So to identify a building means I'm identifying all the buildings probably. It's something which I can't really pick and choose ki ye sabse acha hai. But nevertheless, because you asked me, so I'm telling you, so the whole Capitol Complex is beautiful. Gandhi Bhavan by John Ray is beautiful. You walk on the lake. The bench which they have designed in concrete, it's so beautiful. It's a piece of art. The light which is there in the rock garden, it's so beautiful. So every small thing, why in Chandigarh, in every place, if it is designed with a conscious mind, a conscious heart, it becomes beautiful. It's creativity. But Chandigarh per se is bubbling with creativity. Everything, from door designs to windows to economy. So all those big words we use today were already existing in my city of Chandigarh.
Wow, really, you are a true blue Chandigarh man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolute
100%.
fan of your own city. That's great to know. Mr. Sangeet Sharma, now we already talked about your craft and your passion behind architecture. I wanted to know that how important do you think PR, marketing, digital marketing is important, especially in today's day, as an expansion strategy? How much water does that hold?
In today's world, or the previous worlds, this was always important. If I make a painting and if I keep it at the backyard of my house, it's immaterial. I need to sell it. M.F. Hussain was a great artist, Picasso was a great artist, and they did market their art. So art is not something which I'm going to hang it on my wall. It's something which you need to appreciate, and I'm going to reach you. How do I reach you? I can only reach you if I'm marketing myself. So if you say that PR is important today, or PR was important, it is. Secondly, as a strategy, it's not something which I'm selling a commodity. It's something which I want to know the market. I want to know the person on the other side of the table, and I want him or her to know me and whatever I have in store. So it's a give and take relationship. It's not something which a product needs an architect, a good architect, as much as an architect needs a good product.
Right.
I'm not doing anybody a favor. It's something which I need it. And if I am not educated, how do I use it? And if I use it, and if I don't tell the world its efficacy or its application, I'm not being fair to the product. So it's a two-way relationship. our relationships are two-way. So this strategy, as a marketing strategy, as a PR-ship, is absolutely important. There is no way out. So we have to depend on it. We depend on it. Le Corbusier, in his times, the master architect I was talking about, wrote books, wrote about his projects, propagated his philosophy, his theory, and that's how I think he was known, and that's how he was chosen to be in Chandigarh. Just imagine that he would do something or create something and then keep it with himself. How would we know? So if I'm an artist, if I'm in the market, if I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I need a two-way relationship with the people.
Okay, great. So, Mr. Sangeet Sharma, are you ready for your rapid fire round?
Absolutely.
No need to remind you to be prompt?
No.
Not at all. Okay. So, your first, here we go. Contemporary or classic?
Contemporary.
Okay. Minimalistic or eclectic?
Eclectic.
Eclectic. Okay. I thought you'll choose the other one, but okay, eclectic.
Eclectic.
Work from home or go to office?
Always go to office. Always go to office. Outside.
Outside. Sustainability or durability?
Sustainability.
Favorite architect or interior designer?
In India, it's Sanjay Mohe. And world over, it's Santiago Calatrava.
Okay. Where is he from? And
Spain. He's a Spanish architect,
okay.
but has got branches all over the world.
Okay, lovely.
Great architect.
I'm going to research him.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite material or favorite concept to work with?
One word answer?
You can elaborate. We are always happy to listen to you.
Favorite material is, I think, for the external finish, it's always maintenance-free stones. It's not paints, stones. And for the interiors, I think rugs and fibers and greenery is always the best.
Okay, all right. Okay. Now this is a funny question, but it's very prevalent to today's time. Mask or no mask?
Now mask, but let us unmask everything.
Let's unmask.
Let's unmask.
Pretty soon.
Yeah,
okay.
Enough of masking.
Enough of masking. Yeah. So Mr. Sangeet Sharma, I'm going to ask you some architect related riddles.
Oh,
are
God.
you ready? Okay.
Oh, God.
These are funny ones. Come on.
Come on. Ready. Okay.
Okay. So why did the architect dip his finger in blue ink?
He was a bloody fool. I don't know why did that.
No,
Dip his finger into the ink. Okay. Anyway, to see the marks on his finger.
Oh, that's also a good answer. But mine is to get a blueprint.
I'm a bad architect. Achha, chalo, aage chalo.
Very bad. Achha, okay. How can an architect make you love your house even more?
Through a bad design.
No, by telling you the cost of a new one. That's a good strategy, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so do you have any joke on architects or any kind of funny tidbit?
I think I'm the only architect who laughed at my profession. I wrote a book called Castles in the Air two years ago, and it was a bestseller ever written by an architect, by a practicing architect. So it's a satire on my profession. I mean, we always live in a paradise. We always have masks on us. We always like to fly, talk big, talk high. That's not the case, actually. The truth is, so I brought them down to the level. A lot of people bashed me up. They were like, "Arey yaar, ye kya kar diya tune?" So I exposed every aspect, including sustainability, in a very funny way. Humor is the best way to express. Don't like being serious, and architects have this ability to show themselves as serious. Why? It's not necessary. Mine's such a fun profession. I'm dealing with so many people, dealing with so many things. So if I'm going to be very serious oriented, how will the client appreciate me? अरे यार हंस के बता दो वही चीज, खुश होके बता दो, क्या रखा है? In my book, it's take on everything, right from admissions to college. In Punjab, they still say architecture.
Architecture.
Yeah. Architecture करके आया है. So you get very anti architecture. Architecture होंदा है. और चल जो भी है architecture. एक कोई गल है. Our public opinion is very poor. Is still very poor. A mistri tells you, वो करे, और सर ये पढ़े लिखे भागे ने, इनको experience नहीं है. मुझे 20 साल का experience है. I know what to do. So the client then tilts towards the mystery rather than talking to you.
Right.
Because so we are building our image slowly. लेकिन जब तक नहीं है, so we are a laughing stock.
Yeah.
So ठीक है, चलता है. So we are a laughing stock. So I think the whole of the industry is just an anecdote of humor, you know. So वो सब मैंने book में लिखा हुआ है. पढ़ लेना कभी.
Absolutely. Now I'm so intrigued. It's a brilliant way of looking at any profession.
And satire means a sugar-coated truth. So at the end of it, people cry. Yeah, they see, अच्छा ये बात थी. So in a funny way, you're bringing them down to your mirror. आईना दिखाना हर एक को, you know, that's the idea of satire. So you tell them, you thought you were like this, but you are this.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to it. And Mr. Sharma, so now we know that through this interview, we now even more know that you are so fun-loving, you're so energetic, you're multi-talented, you're a very passionate person, you're a singer, you're an artist, you're an author, and we know that you're an award-winning singer. So we cannot let you leave without singing something for us.
After all that seriousness which you made me talk, अब गाना गवाओगे तो मजा नहीं आएगा. But anyway, you're saying
हम थोड़े और jokes discuss कर लेते हैं. I don't mind a little bit more riddles. We don't mind 4 lines, 8 lines also. जितनी आपकी श्रद्धा.
All for you.
Absolutely.
तू अपने दिल की जवां धड़कनों से गिन के बता. तू अपने दिल की जवां धड़कनों को गिन के बता. मेरी तरह तेरा दिल बेकरार है कि नहीं. झुकी झुकी सी नजर बेकरार है कि नहीं. दबा दबा ही सही दिल में प्यार है कि नहीं. झुकी झुकी सी नजर आपकी नजर.
Fabulous. Subhanallah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sangeet Sharma.
Thank you.
I had an absolute blast in this interview.
Enjoyed it to the core.
I think that we both of us really enjoyed ourselves, and I feel like I know about the profession a little more and about sustainability that I also believe in a little more. And I really hope you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you always. Thank you so much. Thank you.
But before leaving, we would request you to sign a small memento that we have for you. Talking to Mr. Sangeet Sharma is an education in itself in architecture. So till next episode, see you all very soon with another prolific personality right here at the Chat Trap. Till then, ciao.